Are you the MORE Chiropractor? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROPulse podcast brought to you by CATS Consultants, helping doctors keep their pulse on success. I'm Dr. Michael Perusich, and I'm joined by Dr. Troy Fox here in the studio today. Troy, how can doctors be more? And what I mean by that is, how can you generate more? How can you do more? How can you be more? How can you X more?
Is this where I insert the joke about Dr. Seymour backs?
I don't know. This is a PG show.
Yeah, Dr. Seymour backs. I like it. Yeah, so you've got a lot involved there when you talk about doing more in your practice and how you get there. I think everything has to start with a game plan first.
Yep.
So if you're just willy-nilly going, okay, I'm going to see more new patients. How do I do that? But you don't really have a focus on your how you're going to
Go
actually
about it.
integrate those patients into your practice. It doesn't make any sense to go out and ascertain new patients. What makes sense is to create a program to bring new patients into your practice and to integrate them into your practice. So from my standpoint, I don't think you can start with the small goal in mind. You have to start with the big goal and then refine the small goals surrounding that, which means you actually have to goal set. I think that's probably number one.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. And this whole topic idea came from I've been hearing a lot of doctors lately, and I think it's just the time of year. Been hearing a lot of doctors lately say, I want to do more of this. I want to see more XYZ. I want to have more revenue. I want more patient visits. And I keep telling them, you got to drill down on what that means. What does that
Mhm.
mean? I want more. We'll use yours. You want more
Hmm.
new patients. Okay.
Yeah.
Why? What? First, you got to know why. You've got to study it. Why do I want more new patients? Well, maybe it's because I want to increase my patient visits. Okay. Does
Hmm.
that really require new patients? Or
Hmm.
let's unpack more patient visits, because there's more again. If you want more new
Hmm.
patients because you want more patient visits, why don't we just look at more patient visits? How can we get more patient visits? And then
Hmm.
if we're breaking that down, is it really we want more collections? Okay, if we want more collections, do we have to have more patient visits to get more collections? Because that could just be more work. So every time I hear somebody say, I want more, you've got to
Or
really step back and unpack what you're talking about when you say more.
Yeah, or are you doing a horrid job at retention because you're not educating your patients properly?
Right.
And the reason you need more new patients is not because you don't have plenty. You have 60 coming in the door every month, and 59 are going out the back door
Yeah.
as
And
fast
going
as they
to
come
80
in the
new
front.
patients. Yeah. Going to 80 new patients is not going to fix that problem. It's just going to make it
No,
worse.
all that does is creates a bigger train wreck than you already have. So that's where analysis of numbers comes into play as well. And that's something
Amen.
that we do very deeply. And we do it deeply for a reason because it's important to understand the health of your practice. It's like sticking a temperature in your, a thermometer in your mouth and taking your temperature and
Right.
finding out exactly what the temperature is rather than just going, oh, you feel a little bit warm.
Right.
And so I think you have to look at those numbers to begin with. So to be more as a chiropractor, you have to know what you need to be, correct?
Right. You have to know what you want to be, and you have to understand the analysis of your practice. What's happening in my
Mm-hmm.
practice? Why do
Mm-hmm.
I want more of this? Here's a quick message from our sponsor, CATS Chiropractic Business Advisors. We'll be right back.
Is your team dropping the ball?
Do you have your go-to person who always has the ball?
Is your team trained and ready for what daily practice throws at them?
Can you depend on your team to catch the training on their own?
Let us help you hit it out of the park. We want to be your coach.
And another thing I hear a lot lately is I want to connect more in the community, and yet I see nobody taking action on it. Oh, well, I know one of the ways to get connected in the community is to go to the civics groups. Well, I don't have time over lunch to go to the civics groups. Okay, then how bad do you really want to be connected to the community? Or
Mm-hmm.
I know that doing health talks, a lot of doctors connect in the community by doing health talks, but I don't want to do health talks. Great. Then do you really want to connect more in the community? So
Mm-hmm.
you got to think about what is your more. It's kind of like, what is your why? And maybe in some ways they're kind of connected together. We have to understand what we're asking for. And then I'm going to piggyback on what you said a minute ago. We've got to we've got a goal set. So how do we goal set? Well, we got to create action. We got to create steps. We got to have strategy. We got to have tactics in place. How are we going to do this? And so we got to know what the big more is, the big goal, to be able to back up on that and create the process to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you say, I want more, I think everybody who's in practice right now, I know everybody wants more. I know everybody wants more revenue. Everybody wants to go home with more of a paycheck. I get that. And that's great. And I think that's a good driving force to push you down the road to get to that. But you've got to really unpack what is more, and really what am I looking for, and how am I going to get there?
Yeah, you may tell us that you want more patient visits because you want more revenue at the end of the month. And we find out that, quite frankly, you have a massive poverty complex and you're not charging enough for what you do already. Or you're completely eliminating charges for services that should be charged. So let's say, and there's an alarming trend in chiropractic that really bothers me. It's the no exam trend.
Oh,
I don't like that one very much.
not at all.
It's a poverty complex trend. It's also a very dangerous trend from a malpractice carrier standpoint. Not to mention, I mean, you take an oath as a chiropractor in whatever state that you're practicing in, and I think within that oath, and within most of us in healthcare, the first rule of order is to do no harm. I think finding out what's going on is important. And I think as chiropractors, we've gotten real comfortable at times saying, well, what I do is pretty low on the totem pole so far as malpractice anyway. And, this patient, I've known him for a long time. And as a result of knowing them for a long time, I feel like they're a friend and I don't really need to do an exam on them. I already know what's going on with them.
Right.
And so then we give the service away. And quite frankly, the patient was expecting to pay for the service when they came in. They were shocked that you didn't. And if I were your patient, I'd probably question then at that point, what kind of doctor are you?
Sure.
So that kind of poverty complex leading you into that is not good. So if you want more, it may just be that you need to look at what you're already providing and are you really charging what you're worth?
I'm going to give you a great example of that. I was talking to a doctor the other day, and he said he had this patient in the office the other day, and he realized that the patient has a condition that really needs to be re-x-rayed about every year just to keep track of it. And it had been a couple of years since he re-x-rayed him. And he turned to the patient and said, I think it's probably time. Bad verbiage. I think it's probably time. You either know or you don't, but I think it's probably time we updated our x-rays. You know what the patient's response was? I wondered when we were going to do that.
Yeah.
That's not the response you want. You want the response of, doc, I'm really glad you're on top of these things. Thank you for taking good care of me. Not, I wondered when we were going to do that. That means the patient's thinking ahead of you. And, I'm going to go back to something you said a minute ago about saying you want more patient visits, but and you brought in poverty complex, and there's another factor that happens there too. As patient visits go up, based on your current systems in place, you have a capacity ceiling. And when you start hitting that capacity ceiling, here's what happens. Your patient visits can go up, but your services go down per patient visit. And what happens then? So do your collections. So all you did was work harder and got paid less money.
Yeah.
So this is where we've got to really understand, when we talk about more, we've got to understand the statistical side of our practice and how we're going to make those breakthroughs to be able to do more.
Absolutely. So I think once we nail this all the way down, you have to look at your stats first.
Yep.
You have to decide what more really means, and then you have to put a plan together to get there. So why don't you tell them, how do they get a hold of us to schedule that breakthrough call?
Pretty simple. Go to catsconsultants.com. In the top right corner, click on the calendar to schedule with us, and you can jump on our schedule, and we'd be happy to talk to you and talk about your practice. We love doing that. That's what we do. So we do those for free. So just let's talk about your practice. What do you want to do? What more are you looking to accomplish? And how can we help you get there? Because we do customized consulting for chiropractors. We're not a one size fits all. We actually dive into your practice and really look at it and help you monitor it and help you make those breakthroughs along the way, so you have the practice of your dreams, the freedom of your dreams, and the income of your dreams. So catsconsultants.com, just check us out. We got some free stuff on there too for you guys. So make sure you download those as well. All right, Troy, anything else?
I think we've covered it for today. Let's catch
right.
up next time and talk about another exciting topic in chiropractic.
I can't wait. So no more for today. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the KC ChiroPulse podcast, brought to you by Cats Consultants. We will see you next time.
See ya.